Everybody says that this election is going to be close. And to some extent, people are saying that because we don't want to take anything for granted and we need to go all out and just do everything as if we were the underdog and all that. Maybe people actually believe it. I continually envision other better possibilities than that. And I I see that there are forces at work here which could lead to a collapse of the Trump world uh, for various ways, which we already see some of them. And what if he starts being seen more widely as demented? What if he keeps on making a fool of himself? Uh, I see. First of all, we have seen some extraordinary things happen these days. What has happened in the democratic world, uh, I've never seen the likes of it. I know a fair amount of political history of certainly the United States, a lot, but other democracies. I think this was a unique event and thrilling, extraordinary. And the question is, how well do we know what all's going on in a system like ours? Everybody seems to think that there are a lot of things that are just dug into place. And maybe that's true. That Trump's going to get his 46%. I mean, is it really true that 46% of the American people are ready to support Trump no matter what's going on? And there's stuff going on. There's what we saw at the Democratic National Convention. I've been following American political conventions since 1956. Uh, when Jack Kennedy didn't get the VP slot and Estes Kefauver did, and they both lost anyway. So I've seen a lot of conventions. I've never seen anything like this. This was to political conventions what the Olympics that we just had in Paris were to Olympics. I mean, something special. So this is something extraordinary has happened on the democratic world. That happened immediately is when Biden stepped aside and designated Kamala Harris to be his chosen successor, the replacement at the top of the ticket. Ever since that moment, there's just been something going on, which is, really intense. And the question is that I think Nailbiter or Landslide is, can the rest of the electorate or some big part of the rest of the electorate get swept up in this thing? It's a very powerful thing, and I can imagine that a lot of rural people listening to particularly what Walz was saying would say, I can be at home in this party. And then you have people like Adam Kinzinger gave a fantastic speech about how his conservative principles required him to make alliance with Kamala Harris and support her, because the alternative violates all of the things that, as a conservative, a Reagan Republican, he held sacred. So they're trying to create a permission structure in the Republican world. And meanwhile, the Democrats are putting out they're claiming the flag, they're claiming freedom, they're claiming family values, they're claiming all the stuff that used to be one of the things that tied a lot of middle Americans, let's just say, to the Republican Party. How successful is that going to be? I can envision that people are right in saying, we have this badly polarized society. Well, we do, but there are a lot of good people out there that if somehow they were to see the whole political battle in different terms, they would express the values that I used to. I mean, I know conservatives from a decade's worth of talk radio conversations about important things, and I know some of their real values, and they've betrayed them. And is it possible that the Democratic attempt to pitch themselves as the holders of the legacy of us as Americans and leader of the free world and all that stuff, is that going to register with enough people who maybe haven't been very happy to have Trump all over again? And Trump is doing rather poorly. He's not looking that good. Don't know if there's going to be a debate and what's going to happen in that, but other than that, he looks like he's on the ropes. Whether anybody in the Trump world is going to notice that and respond to that, I don't know. They have stuck with him through incredible number of things, including inciting an insurrection. So, how am I to know what can lead people to detach from him? But I do see that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are doing a great job with the help of like the Obamas and others who have been mocking Trump, cutting him down to size. And I've written a piece about how their mockery, they're treating him not as a big, we got to be afraid of this big and powerful guy who's threatening everything we hold dear, which is true about what he is, but instead to belittle him. So as Trump's image goes down, how many people are going to let go? Anyway, this is what I think is the point of uncertainty here in the American body politic right now, in the wake of this tsunami that arose in the democratic world that we could see in these rallies at every stop, where every arena is filled to the rafters and people are turned away, and a convention that is so filled with joy and a sense of gladness to be in this fight. Well, can that carry the rest of America with them? Can that carry everybody but the 32% that polls indicate really like the idea of a strongman government? I mean, she's campaigning as the protector of our constitutional order and the rule of law. But not everybody wants that. But it couldn't be more than, according to the poll I saw, 32%. If you can hold him to that, that is a blowout. That even goes beyond 72 and 1936 and 1964. That's way out there. So there's a lot of room to win people over. And I just don't know, basically, whether we're going to have a success in reaching out to independents and people and Nikki Haley voters. I was a bit discouraged in this respect by a piece that I read on the Bulwark, actually, asking why weren't there more people there of a higher status of Republicans, like who had worked with Trump, like Gene Kelly? Well, General Kelly, not the dancer. And they didn't mention Bill Barr, but Bill Barr should, if he were to speak honestly, we've seen video of him. He knows things to say. Why wasn't he at the convention? Why weren't the cabinet people who serve with Trump, who says, this guy is an idiot, an effing moron? Anyway, he asked the question, well, why weren't there people of higher rank than a former lieutenant governor from Georgia, and the mayor of Mesa, Arizona, and Adam Kinzinger? Oh, I thought Kinzinger was great, but yeah, why wasn't there? Why weren't W there, and maybe even Dick Cheney, and at least Liz Cheney? Well, he went through a variety of possible reasons, and he didn't come up with any reason that was good. He left me worrying that perhaps the showing of the Republicans who can testify maybe they won't work like they could to give the permission structure, as they call it, to the Republicans to abandon Trump and to support Democrats, as Kinzinger said, to support Kamala not as a Democrat, but as a patriot. I don't know. There's a limited amount of time. I'm hoping that there'll be more manifested in advertisements as we get closer to the election. Maybe there was some good reason that this guy on Bulwark didn't recognize that better to hold off and then do some stuff within more striking distance of the election. I don't know, but I hope that the Republican world that will come through. I mean, it was so disappointing when, I guess we already know that Bill Barr has endorsed Trump after all he said about him. And Nikki Haley has endorsed Trump after all she said about him. What a craven bunch. So maybe we won't be able to reach out as effectively as one might have hoped to the Republican world through Republican voices, because it seems that there's moral cowardice on the Republican side. How else do you explain something like Nikki Haley? I think it was a stupid choice she made too. I don't think she's protected any political future for herself. She would have been much smarter to make herself the person who didn't capitulate. Because with any luck, there will become a time in 4 years or 8 years where the party has completely repudiated its Trump form. Something's going to have to happen, particularly if we get the blowout we need now to reach people. The people who don't want a fascistic regime need to be brought over to make sure that we preserve what we've got as our heritage as Americans, as a land ruled by law and not by the lawless. Okay, them's my thoughts. Please take a look at how I lay out a fairly integrated picture of the whole battle between democracy and fascism and the whole battle of humankind to make its civilization more viable, less traumatizing. Okay, that's it.